Okay, so I want to talk about trauma again. Specifically, though, less about the physiology and more about my experience and observations in working with trauma in my office and my own experience with trauma. So, first of all, thanks for tuning in. Second of all, unfortunately, life is trauma. Anyone who tells you otherwise is selling something. Or so says the man in black in The Princess Bride. Actually, he says life is pain, not trauma. Very similar things. So, my experience with trauma would be, first of all, I think one of the pieces that distinguishes people who are able to heal, largely heal, I should say, or be further on the healing journey as regards trauma, there are a couple of distinctions. It's natural when we're traumatized, especially in an acute situation, that we need to withdraw from the world. We need a safe space. So we pull back to the cave or the castle or whatever imagery you need as regards that. And in that context, we need support, we need kindness, we need gracious sorts of people around us. And most importantly, we need listeners, people who can listen in a certain kind of way to our experience, to hearing our story, so that we can bump into ourselves, honestly, and understand what happened, see what happened. Very often trauma is discombobulating. It can be disorienting. You don't necessarily know up from down, right from left, backwards from forwards. You feel lost in intensely traumatic kinds of experiences. You don't know who you are. You don't know who other people are. And so that is the time for that safe place, the castle, the cave, where people who can hold space can help you, can be around you as you move with and through and understanding emotionally on all those levels, psychologically, what happened to you. And it's difficult to be in that space, to listen to someone's traumas. It's critical. There are times where it's more important, Miriam Greenspan says, than food, to be listened to. Kind of the more significant and intense the trauma, the more important it is to share it and to have other people carrying your burden with you by hearing it. Even if there's no solution offered, that is absolutely critical in my mind. And also to listen to yourself. I mean, that's part of that process. It's part of writing about it and telling someone about it. But then there comes a time where we re-emerge from the cave. And this, in my mind, is a critical threshold where we have opportunity to go in various directions. And I think the distinction, as I see it, is that you can, once you've worked and looked at what happened, you've shared with other people, you've had support around you, as you step back out into the sunlight or the moonlight, if you're like me, you like the dark, then the threshold you have, actually maybe two bridges, one to the right, one to the left, or two paths to take, has everything to kind of how you respond to what's happened, the trauma. It's important to have time in the cave, to have the castle. But you can get stuck there, for one thing. No one can dictate how long someone needs to hang out in the cave and feel safe and process in the cave. But at some point, we have to reemerge. And when we reemerge, the options are to look at the other side of the trauma. Trauma can call us to a different kind of living. It can call us back to becoming more authentically us, to not let other people who want to tell us who we need to be for their sake, to shut that down, to not listen to it anymore, to become who we're meant to become. And there's tremendous driving power in the awfulness that is a painful, traumatic experience, or experiences. Almost like nothing else, things become a little more crystal clear, and you have this opportunity where you can walk towards being the more authentic you that you were always meant to be, but maybe lost touch with along the way, or maybe got stuck in the sameness of living, and the possibility of growth and transformation took a back seat to whatever. So that's the opportunity that's embedded in trauma. There are people that choose not to take that, and they walk back into who they were, or just stayed on the safe side of risk. Because it's risky to become, to transform, to change. That's risky. You may be re-traumatized. Because nobody can guarantee that you won't be. And the other piece, the people who choose to kind of keep on lingering in the cave, it's kind of like, if those of you that are familiar with Plato's cave, there are prisoners in the cave that have a campfire behind them that is casting shadows on a wall that they're looking at. And they're trapped in thinking that's the fullness of their experience, the shadows. And I think that's the other side, the shadow side of trauma, is that we can start to over-identify with our traumatic experience and not see how it can call us to something different, and see the beauty in it as well, the fullness of it. Yes, it's important to do all those things I've talked about on this channel, like owning our own emotions and understanding our emotions and understanding what happened, and processing. That's super important. But again, we have to, at some point, also look at the other side of it, which is the beauty in the horror of what happened. Some of the most beautiful people I've sat with in my office, who have been through the most horrific experiences that won't even describe on this channel. Those people, I'm often struck with the privilege of serving them and being around them, because there is an incredible beauty that emerges from wounded space. If we allow it, if we take that opportunity. It's always a choice. We can choose not to. We can choose to remain in the cave, like the prisoners, chained to the shadows. Thanks for tuning in.